Come on down there, squeaky little Jack.
Hey, welcome back to the garage, everyone. All right, in the last video, you saw us finally get around to setting the rear wheel bearing preload, and I decided to go ahead and build a little bit of special tooling to get that job done. If you haven't seen that previous video on that, I'd recommend checking it out. The adapter we made for our mount worked out really well. It's a lot better to do the job in using the special mount than it is to put it in a vise. You can put it in a vise, no problem, but we made a mount for it and it worked out really well, and it's just a lot easier, so I recommend it. For today's video, we're gonna go ahead and finally remove the rear differential and take a look at those gears, take a look at maybe the clutches inside there. It's a posi, you know. So before we do that, this spare tire has got to come out of here. Plus, I want to go ahead and remove the rear stabilizer bar, which is known as the Gymkhana suspension. I don't know who that is, but he must be pretty important. And to get that stabilizer bar out of here, we've got to get this out of the way. Plus, this thing is just in the way anyway, so it's just got to go. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. All right, this thing has got a lock on it, and there's a rubber cover here. I guess it's set up to where you could just fit the key up in there. So guess how long it's been since I've had this off of here. Just take a stab. You're probably wrong. I don't even know if this is the right key. So we're not going to go with that scenario. We're going to go ahead and remove this rubber so we can see what we're dealing with. It's, I guess you might say, it's still intact, surprisingly. Maybe if we we may be able to resupplize that with some nutrients. I'm not sure though. This, I'm not even sure if this is the right key, and I'm going to need some WD-40. All right, so it is the right key. That was actually, this is the original key from when the car was new. So if you want to see what that looks like, basically. Camera's moving. Sorry about that. Got that nice brass worn look to it. These are just replacement keys. These are getting kind of hard to find in local key shops, by the way. If you know, classic oval and round GM keys. This is frozen somewhat. So I'm gonna need to do some head scratching and figure out how to get that out of there. I may just have to soak it down. I may have to pound it, cut it, heat it, something. Actually, the bracket is bolted up there, so we may just end up just removing that altogether in that fashion. Just take the bracket off and not worry about the key lock. That way we could get this on the workbench and then loosen it up. I think we'll go ahead and do that instead of trying to fiddle with this key lock on the car. So, all right, let me get a, what is that? Looks like a 9/16. I'll be right back. Huh, if I take this down, is the wheel gonna fall down? That's something to consider. Look at that, the lock washer on that bolt is broken. Yeah, it's coming down. So, yep. It's been years and years and years since I actually took this out of here and cleaned the spare tire up. I don't know when. It was forever ago. All right, we'll do a little Cold War Motors classic tire action here. What kind of tire is this? Temporary. It's got the word speed on it. Oh no, max speed, yeah. No, 50, never mind. Okay, yeah, that's exciting. Look at that, it's still shiny. Never been used. Got a weight on it. Somebody balanced it at some point. Made by Goodyear, so not sure what the size is on that thing. Let's see. There it is. It's a P195 80 D15. Interesting. That's your pattern. Anyway, could you imagine this car with that spare wheel on it? I bet that would be the ugliest thing ever. All right, so a little tappy tap, and this is 11/16. Basically what you've got here is a shaft here, and it just turns into a permanently mounted nut up inside the frame there. This should come out, that one over there come out, and this whole cover will come off of the car. So that will probably take me a few minutes. So let me go ahead and take those two off and get this cover off of here. All right, that all came down pretty well. I had the camera pointed in the incorrect direction, so probably all you got was some audio and no video, so that was pretty silly. Anyway, just a plastic cover, so no big deal. Just held on by bolts. Very simple to remove. And you can see why I wanted to get this out of the way. We can actually see something now. We can come in here and, you know, we can get to it. We can take these bolts out and not have to worry with all that silly nonsense. Look at that. Look at the fuel tank. Man, it's pristine. Of course, I guess it would be as it's covered up or protected by the spare tire. So there's our fuel tank. Still got the galvanizing on it. Still has the original lettering on it. Made in the, where is it at? Made in USA. Yep, there we go. Pretty cool. And I found the original build sheet of this car many years ago. It was shoved up in here somewhere. Can't recall where. Let's see. I'm not going to take that out of there just yet. Let's go ahead and get the big ticket item out of here. Let's go ahead and work on this differential next. All right, first thing I want to do to get this diff out of here is go ahead and remove the drive shaft from the differential. And those are, I believe, let's see, I believe they are, yep, they're 7/16. So let me go ahead and that's really close working quarters in there. So no real ability to film that, just 4 bolts. Let me take those out. I'll slip the drive shaft out and then we'll move on. All right, we got the drive shaft out of there. That was kind of a pain, really. Not a lot of room to work with in there. I had to figure out a combination of wrenches and sockets and ratchets and what all, but we got her out of there, and it was stuck in there a little bit, so I tapped it on this end, and it just decided to go straight out that way, and I was able to catch it before it hit the ground. It was pretty epic, and I was kind of disappointed I didn't catch it on the film, actually. You should have seen it. It's kind of like that big fish that everybody says they caught, but never mind. Okay, all right, part number 392167.5 has a BK written on that end. Not sure what that's about. Maybe Brian Kilroy inspected it back in 1978. Not sure about that. Let's set it aside, however. All right, we got our Borg Warner close ratio 4-speed off of the transmission jack and onto a temporary workbench. And we got the trans jack underneath the differential. Oh, it's not that heavy, but I'm old and the arthritis in my back says, hey, you know what? You better, have some assistance. So that's what I do. We got that thing in place. I think the next thing will be to remove this diff, and really all that involves is removing the bolts here on the cover and removing this one bolt back here, and it should pivot downward like this, and then we can lower it out of the car. So anyway, that's the plan. Let's see how well we do. You hear a lot of hot rodders and guys saying, yeah, I really don't like C3 Corvettes, or I don't really like Corvettes. Not my cup of tea. I think I understand why they say that now. They're a pain in the ass to work on. I really like this car. Don't get me wrong, I do. I think the body lines of the C3 Corvette are just exotic and extravagant and just a thing of beauty. If I had to bare my soul. But, when you talk about things that are designed more for aesthetics, then the practical nature of maintenance will come second. You know, ask anybody that owns Toyota or Ferrari. I'm sure they'll agree. The reason I put those two car makes in the same sentence was because to contrast the, you know, the nature of my point. And that doesn't work. I need another wrench. And there was a little bit of seepage coming from this diff, but it wasn't terrible. And when I checked the fluid level, it was fine. So, all right, I got all but the bottom two out. Let's go ahead and loosen up this main support bolt here. I guess I might as well go ahead and pull those others out. All right, let's go ahead and get these last two out. All right, so all those bolts are out, and then this one is pretty loose. And I got 3 or 4 threads left there. I want to, let's see, is this going to move? Interesting. That's probably stuck on there. I'll probably have to get a hammer and tap that. In theory. All right, can't move if you don't let it move. So let's ease off of the jack a little bit here. A little bit. Yeah, there it comes. I feel some movement there. All right, so this cover is thoroughly bolted to the frame, and I move this up and down, and that is stuck to that. So I did tap on it a little bit with a small hammer, but sometimes you have to get a bigger hammer. So let's go do that. Well, let's see. What did that do? Hey, look at that. We cracked her open, baby. Cracked her open. Yeah, all right, all right, all right. All right, there we go. She's loose now, ladies and gentlemen. She's loose now. And the fluid that I thought I drained out of the differential earlier is now draining everywhere. So I guess I'll just clean up the mess and then we'll proceed forward. That's kind of nice. Look at that rail of fluid dripping down through there. Oh boy. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Let me clean up. All right, got my mess cleaned up. Basically, I just forgot to drain the fluid. Really, I think the only way to drain the fluid is to basically do this. But with the jack in the way, that just made it a big old mess. So I got oil dry everywhere. It's whatever. You know what? It's just a thing. And go ahead and take this. Okay, it's over there in front of the workbench now. That's fine. All right, so the manual actually said to put these at a 45-degree angle, but they're at different angles, so whatever. Are they supposed to be at different angles? I don't know. I don't think it's gonna matter all that much. Hopefully. Have you ever done this before? No, I've never done this before. So let's just lower the jack here a little bit and see what the hell's gonna happen. There we go. We want the end over here by my left hand to come down, to pivot down first, and then the rest will follow suit. I can't get my jack handle out of the jack. What in the hell is going on here? Okay. Of course, that's actually hitting on the compartment. And that one is too. Not really sure what I'm doing here. Yeah, this damn thing's right here. That's gonna be a major problem. Holy crap, I can't, these are supposed to be at the same, you know, angle, right? They're not, they're like cockeyed. So, got something to do with me turning the wheels, I'm sure, at some point in the past. Okay, let me figure this out. I'll be back in a minute. All right, come on now. All right, a little more. Come on. Yeah, I think we're getting there. The passenger side is down below the compartment now. and this one's a little higher. It basically pivoted over a little bit. So these drive shafts were supposed to be at the same, on the same plane. Mine were not. They were cockeyed like 45 or 90 degrees out from one another. Let me wrestle this thing out of here. This is going to take me a while. All right, so I decided to say to hell with the book and just go ahead and lower this frame down. I mean, they got the thing all the way apart anyway. The procedure in the book for taking this out without removing this cover was written for on-car service at a dealership when you need to, when you need to get it done, I guess quickly maybe? I don't know if that's, why would they not just say, remove this? I don't know. It makes things so much easier. Yeah, absolutely. Just unbelievably easier. So taking this off is the way to go, clearly. And I know some other Corvette guys are out there. I could have told you that, dumbass. All right, we're free now. Hopefully I didn't mar up those teeth on that cover. I don't think I did. They just scraped a little bit, so.
Come on down there, squeaky little Jack.
Interesting sound. We're all the way down. All right, so yes, loosen it. You don't even got to take it out, but loosen it. Let it come down like ½ an inch. Just leave the bolts in there. It's the way to go, I'm telling you. Okay, all right, there's the inside of our Corvette diff here. So initially I thought that looked like paint, but it's not. It's just black fluid there. I have no idea how these clutched posi traction rear ends work. Let's see, do an initial inspection on this guy. It looks really good. I don't think we have any issues with wear at all. Really smooth. No pitting, no chips. Let's just go all the way around real quick. Just to give it a... Of course, the rear end wasn't making any noise. The only noise came from the clutches inside the posi, because I needed to, apparently, to make that noise go away, you add the posi additive in there, and I did that years ago, and it cured it for a long time, but it came back, so I guess you have to reapply the posi additive from every once in a while. So there we go. There's a differential. Now to figure out what to do next. All right, so I think initial inspection of the differential looks really good, and doing some research on buying new gears for this thing. 336 was the optional highway gear for 78, and if you go get yourself something from Standard USA and Yukon and Richmond and all these other brands, they're going to be made in China, I believe. Eaton, E-A-T-O-N, apparently claims that all their stuff is made in USA still. So, and I believe all this stuff on the GM was Eaton stuff anyway. If I choose to decide to put a 336 in here, a new old stock unit is what I would want. I don't want anything new. I'd rather have a new old stock unit made in USA. So if I go that route, that's what I'm going to do. But the verdict is still out on that one. So anyway, but let's go ahead and continue on here. I think I want to remove this rear stabilizer bar. And let me go ahead and get this brake caliper out here next, and then we'll take that out. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and take off the Giancana suspension. There we go. Actually, these original bushings are still in immaculate condition. Yeah, they still look good. We may just continue to use them. I don't know. I think we got new ones in the kit though, so might as well change them out. All right, so you saw me replace the driver's side trailing arm. I'm not going to film the process of removing this one. The only thing holding it up here is the main support bolt in the back. And I got to take off these brake hoses and the emergency brake line. And pull that bolt out of there and she'll slide right out of there. So no big deal on that. So I'll do that off camera. We'll be back in a little bit. All right, there you go. all torn out. That is the rear end of a Corvette. Pretty much dismantled except for the center cross frame holding the diff cover. Did I really need to tear all this stuff out? No, not really, but I wanted to really kind of dig into this car and see what we were dealing with, and I just wanted to, you know, explore all the nooks and crannies and find out where the corrosion was or where it wasn't. There's our little cubby hole where the rear trailing arm on the passenger side was bolted in. Got a fuel line up in there, had to contend with. So getting that bolt back out of there is kind of, that took about 10 minutes just to get that bolt out. And here's the passenger side rear trailing arm. Pretty good shape. This bushing is pretty badly cracked, but it's still hanging in there. It's not horrible by any stretch of the imagination, but it is rotten. It needs to come out. So this rotor, it just wouldn't come off. I'm not sure. It must be rusted on, so tappy tap tap on that to get that off, I guess. All right, I know this may seem a little bit overly picky, but something that's been kind of bugging me since I started this project is this muddy water underneath here. It needs to go away now. Before I go any further, I'm just going to clean up the rear end of this car. And we'll just soak it down with some water, and then we'll do a super clean. Then do a little brushing action, and followed by a rinse, and that should be all we need. All right, we got our diff cross member out of here. Looks like we had the beginnings of a mouse house going on up in here. Got a nut, and we got some styrofoam, and I'll probably just blow some air through there and get that rest of that stuff out of there. The inside of the diff cover looks good. No anomalies, no debris, no filings. We could probably just put that diff back in there just like it is, just change the fluid and go on about our merry way. That is an option. However, I'm not done scratching my head yet. Don't act like you didn't know this wasn't coming. Just can't resist, can you? Just take it all apart. You darn tootin'. All right, we're gonna set this guy over here off to the side. Gonna go work on this guy right here next with some mineral spirits. All right, hand tool rescue to the rescue. Yes, sir. There we go. Use limited slip diff lubricant only. After reading the Cadillac manual, it said clean everything with mineral spirits. That's what I started doing. I quit using brake clean. This is just, it's just so much easier and so much more cost effective. All right, there we go. Got it all cleaned up with some mineral spirits. And when I was done with that, I took it outside, soaked it down with super clean, and did a final degreasing with the water hose. And that worked out really, really well. So this side here, which was, I guess, covered up by the leaf spring, still got a lot. That's basically new metal there. There's no rust on it or anything. But on the top side, there's a little bit of rust. Yeah, whatever, no big deal. So we're going to go ahead and give this just a good, quick, low gloss black treatment with some Duplicolor and call it a day. All right, there you go. I just painted it right there where I cleaned it. You know, it's just a diff cover. It's mostly covered up by other stuff anyway, so that's good enough. And we cleaned up the little plug as well. I thought maybe I could reapply some white paint to the lettering. I think it was silk screened. I think that's the proper term. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm not sure I could just wipe some paint over that and recreate the lettering. But I may give it a try later. Hell, anyway, I'm gonna let that dry. It's Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock. I've been working on this thing all day. I'm gonna call it quits. We'll pick back up tomorrow. All right, here we go. It is time to start reassembling our driver's side torque control arm. And I find myself scratching my head a little bit, going, how did this fit together again? Well, anyway, we'll just wing it. And if we need it, we'll look at the book. How about that? All right, I got a little ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and do the parking brake assembly first. Hey, there's a good start right there. All right, so this spring with the got spring on either side, separated by a wire that goes here. In other words, this orientation, this goes on here. This double looking spring goes here. This single looking spring goes up here. The parking brake adjustment mechanism goes with the gear facing that way. This little guy here goes like that with this slotted in, facing up like that. Here is the French lock, and I actually repaired it. It was broken in half right there, and as opposed to finding a kit somewhere, I just welded it up on. I'll just welded it up on either side and then ground it down, and I think it'll be all right. So that goes there, and then you've got your spring-loaded, standard-looking drum brake pin and springs that go on either side, here and here. This bolt goes through the whole affair. Here is the parking brake cable doohickey. That slips through here. We'll get to that in a little bit. And let's see. We'll slip the adjuster in there and see how difficult this spring is going to be. Can we just do it with some needle nose pliers? I don't know. Not a big deal, okay. This guy here goes underneath, fits into that little oval slot. These are new brake drums from O'Reilly, just the basic Mastercraft brand. I never use the parking brake anyway. This is really just for looks. Nobody in America uses the parking brake. I don't know why, it's just a thing. Let's see now, what's next? I think we got to put this spring in next. All right, let's go ahead and get this double looking spring situated. All right, easy peasy. Well, that ain't hard at all, okay. Well, it turned out really nice, didn't it? This whole affair goes right here, like this here, I think. Let's see, I think that goes down inside that little hole right there. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and get our pin and springs in place. Come on. Don't give me a hard time. And these little, this little tool right here, man, let me tell you what, it's good to go. Just make your life, it's a drum brake tool, right? This guy right here, if you do drum brake tools for these little guys right here, these springs right here, okay, you need this in your life, okay? Just don't mess around with anything else. Just like that. I keep this in the drawer of many things. If I don't have a special place, I always have a junk drawer in the house, and I have one in the shop. And anyway, if I make a specialty tool, it goes in there. All right, next up, we're going to put this assembly on here, and it can only go one way. You have this little outcrop sticks out right there, and slip it through there. Get the hole just right. There we go. Our little. Show you what this looks like up close here. So the little French lock we repaired, I think it'll be fine. Goes in there like that. Just got a little nipple that sticks out there and engages in the little slot. The little bolt goes down there, tightens up against that, good to go. That's kind of what that looks like. Brand new stuff, looks great, doesn't it? All right, I couldn't find a torque setting for this bolt, so I set it to 30 foot-pounds. And you're not going into a whole lot of steel there. It's a big bolt. And yeah, I think it'll be fine. So that's probably what the French lock is for. Maybe they just didn't have a torque setting. So making an assumption there. Let's see how well we can do here. I did get these flats lined up with the wings on the French lock though, so that's pretty cool. I'm probably gonna break that weld. There we go. Not entirely sure what that's good for. That'll be fine. Kind of bend that over the bolt there a little bit. That'll be good. Probably better than they did it at the factory. Knowing this car. I forgot to slip the parking brake cable thing up inside there. Let's just start over. Just start over. There you go. Just start over. He's getting aggravated. You damn right. I'm gonna have to take the whole damn thing apart again. As they once said on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, I think it was the owl. Can't we just try again? Can we just try again? How in the hell does that go in there? All right, let's see. Can we? Yeah. Oh, it goes through there to the front way. Okay, enough of that. Let me let me reassemble, and I'll be right back. All right, so this lever here has this little notch in it right there. That fits into the notch right there on the bottom of the brake shoe. So I have a lot more experience with conventional drum brakes, not these. Clearly. Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. So here, like so, okay, I'm gonna engage the parking brake now, right? So I pull the cable inside the car, right? And how about that? Put our bolt back in. All right, second time's a charm, I guess, as they say. I already said that, I think. All right, that's done. Let's move on. All right, let's see what we can do here. Need to start reassembly. I thought that's what we already were doing. I don't know. Just give me strength. This goes down in inboard. It goes like that, I think. Just used a bigger hammer on a block of wood and tapped this down and got it seated into place. So the rascal ain't coming off of there anytime soon, I guarantee you that. All right, so now that that's done, should be able to just slip that down on now like that. Yeah, let's see. No. Done something wrong here. I think it goes like that. Yep, I had it upside down. Oh, that fits much better. All right, that just makes me happy. All right, these 3/8 by 24 thread count nuts here that I lost. I don't know where in the heck they went. Kept the lock washers though. But I can't find the nuts anywhere. I don't know what I did with them. So anyway, I just went up there to get old Mr. Dorman to save the day. Found me some grade 8 nuts up there at O'Reilly. Well, that just works wonderfully. I'm going to go ahead and put I don't know, let's say 20 pounds on these. I'm not sure. They got lock washers on them, so. All right, I broke out the little torque wrench. So we get accuracy, I guess you might say. That should be fine. That's what is that? This is actually inch pounds, 250, so that's a little over 20 pounds. Plus you got a lock washer in there, so that'll be just fine. All right, so I'm not gonna pack this thing full. There's no reason in that. Just get a good amount all the way around inside there, and it'll be perfectly fine. If you pack it full, I have packed them full in the past, but I kind of regret it. I did it on my Mercedes, and if you get it too full, it'll make heat inside there, and it'll just melt the grease. It's benign, but it'll come out of your dust cap, and it'll find its way out, basically, and just end up all over the wheel. And it'll do that until it evacuates enough to where it doesn't do that anymore. So for a while, you're going to have really nasty wheels. Next up is the outer bearing, which I am going to take the cat hair out of. And I'm going to do a little more light packing here. If you recall, we had to set the bearing preload. So we had the bearing in and out of this thing a lot. And we'll just do another light packing, and then we'll slap it in there. All right, there we go. Easy does it now. All right, if you recall from one of the previous videos, when I pulled this bearing out, when I pulled this seal out, this seal was like this. In other words, this part here with the little flange on it was out towards the wheel. It was like this, okay? Which means that the seal was actually inserted this way into this spindle holder with the flange up. This seal was installed incorrectly from the factory. I will go to the mat on that. I don't think it's a huge deal, but when you install a grease seal or an oil seal, whatever you're sealing, let's say whatever you're sealing is that way, this part here goes toward it, okay? That's just the way it's done. With the design of this seal, I'm not sure that is important, but, well, he's just being overly particular. Well, you damn right. And when you do this, you fill the back side of these things with grease before you put it in there. Look at the instructions for any of these manufacturers. You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, if you disagree, if you say to yourself, no sir, at the factory they did it the other way because you know, fill it into the comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about it. Let's talk it over. It's all right to have a heated debate about something. That's perfectly fine. But I'm gonna do it this way. There we go. That is looking good, good, good. All right, let me get a doohickey to put that in. All right, we're gonna go with the 72 millimeter upside down. All right, give a close up of what we're dealing with here and what it looks like. All right, so that's what we got. Now we want to do this gently. Make sure we're fairly square from the get-go. Let me get a bigger one. I should have been using the bigger one because it spans all the way across here so that you can get it perfectly flush when you're done. Yeah. Yeah, boy. That is the ticket. And you got that orange paint is thrust out all the way around. You know you're doing a good job then. That's what I'm talking about right there. All right, next up we're going to flip her over and insert. Maybe we'll insert first and then flip her over. What's the best way to do this? Sideways? Maybe sideways. And let me get something to set this on. Where's the block of wood at? There it is right there. Yeah, that'll work. We'll do it that way. All right, we're going to put the spindle through here now. All right, so this spindle, you know, it's a fairly decent press fit into that outer bearing. First thing you're going to do, however, though, is put your bearing spacer in. The big end goes towards the outside, and the shim goes towards the inside. And then comes the bearing. Any day now, I will get the bearing out of the bag. All right. Get that guy in there like that. Now we take this sleeve. Uh-oh, no, we don't do that. We put this, we thread this onto the end of the spindle. All right, and we slide this over there like that. And then we scratch our head about how this is supposed to work. All right, so I had to get my head out of my rear and actually learn how to use the tools that I had bought. You use this temporarily to draw the spindle in there. So after we get this threaded on there, you slip this guy over the end of the spindle, into the splines like that. Now we can thread this guy into place. All right, I got a couple of lug nuts on there with a hammer wedged against the table, and I decided to break out a standard ratchet, or actually my big torque wrench, and instead of the impact, for fear of damaging the bearings with the impact. So let's just do it this way. Plus it's a lot quieter. All right, we got her bottomed out there. Oops, a daisy. Now I got to get it loosened. All right, we got a new seal, and we have this funky looking dust cap that goes over that afterwards. Let me pack a little grease in the back part of this seal. You always want to pack some grease behind the rubber. Standard practice. All right, this is a little tricky. And you know what? The daggum service manual doesn't say anything about this seal. It doesn't say how to do it, when to do it, or anything. But I did find this 50mm El Cheapo Chinese Harbor Freight socket with a 1-inch drive or 3/4 inch drive. It fits over this threaded end of this shaft. It's almost like it was designed to do this job. All right, we're gonna go put this funky looking dust cap on. We're gonna give it a dose of grease behind it too. I don't know why, I'm just gonna do it. Don't just quit quizzing me. I'm doing it because I want to.
Tap, tap, tap.
Looks better than it did when I pulled it off of there, I know that. I'm gonna put a little grease on these. I got some on the flange and I got some up in here. Let me put some. So this surface right here is the one that goes and seals up in there around that grease seal there. So we're gonna give us a good dose here. Now this is just a splined fit, clearly. And then you have a thrust washer right here. All right. And then finally, that will be followed by our restored castle nut, which we will torque down. All right, this castle nut gets torqued down to 100 foot-pounds. I got my hammer set back there to keep the thing from turning. This is a 1 1/16 inch castle nut. All right, there's 80. There's 90. There we go. Let's go find a cotter pin. And let's see. It said torque to 100 pounds and any additional torque needed to line up the cotter pin hole. What this really means is just torque the living heck out of it until the hole lines up. There we go, that's good enough. That's probably about 120, 130. But anyway, I got a little kit here with some cotter pins in it. And how do you guys do your cotter pins? Do you just do one leg? You know, or do you do them both? Or, let's just do them both, I guess. There we go. All done. All right, I think we're gonna wrap this video up for the weekend. We've got our driver's side rear trailing arm all put back together and torqued down. We're pretty close to putting this back in the car. However, to be completely honest, I'm a little concerned about the tightness of the bearings. When I set the preload over there in our staging area, I got 2/1000ths, which is, the spec is 1/1000ths to 8 or 7, depending on your point of view. But I got 2, maybe a little more. Anyway, so after I installed it, I got basically, I hardly register any movement at all now when I hooked up the dial gauge. So I put this in the vise and set it up and measured it the best way I knew how. And I couldn't detect much variability at all, to be honest with you, which is somewhat of a concern. Seeing as how you can, there's a couple of different ways you can look at it. The purist would say that's entirely unacceptable. Take it completely apart and do it again. Or you could say the spec is 0.001 to 0.008, right? So the spec on the low side is 1/1000th of an inch of play. 1/1000th, okay? So you ask yourself, if it's that tight, is less than 1/1000th really that much of a big of a deal? I don't know. So I'm not really sure what the reasoning behind all that was. You know, on some front wheel bearings, we don't even measure it. You know, you just slap it on there and go. As long as it's good and tight, you're like, yeah, it's fine. Anyway, I don't know. So here it is, all back together. We went through all the proper procedures. A little concerned about the bearing preload on here now. I'll either do one or two things. I'll either take it apart and do it again, or I'll just run it. And hopefully they'll loosen up a little bit, and it'll be fine. So that remains to be seen. All right, we're going to leave it right there, folks. I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys have a good one, and remember to enjoy restoring your classic C3 Corvette.